Call to order the regular board meeting of the North Mara ISD School Board. This is Monday, June 13th, 2022. Time is 6 p.m. All 7 board members are present. We have an established quorum, and we will start with Clint Spencer giving our invocation, and we will follow with the pledges.
Let's pray. Father, we're grateful to be together tonight, and we're grateful for the way that you've provided for our school, for our area. We pray for wisdom and discernment as we make decisions that will impact students here in this area. We pray that the things that we do will honor you. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Okay, we will now move to do we go to item 3? Yes, we have no public testimony. Item 4, we have no public forum signed up. Now we will move to public hearing with the time being 6:01. And this is a discuss the budget and the proposed tax rate for North Lamar ISD 2022 to 2023. Mrs. Melissa Darrell.
Okay, yes, good evening. Just to update you again on where we are with the proposed tax rate that we talked about at our budget meeting. We will get the certified values next month in July, and then in the August time frame, we will bring the proposed tax rate for adoption at that time. Let's see, tonight I have given you a copy of the budget that I would like for us to adopt this evening. We are using the ADA of 2131. We still think that will be a good number. We ended this year at 2140. So we are thinking that 2131 is good, it's conservative, and it's a doable number. As you can see, we are going to have our revenue at $26,006,287. And as you can see, all the corresponding expenditures by function, they do total that, so we do have a proposed balanced budget. Again, we did include the additional police officer. I did get with Officer Bose today. I have a $30,000 police vehicle in the budget, and we also have the roof replacement that we discussed on the Thursday meeting. Also, what I did today is I looked at all of our special allocations, you know, the ones that we have the required spending for 55% for our career in tech and all those. I just really kind of wanted to make sure, especially with our career in tech and our numbers, that I thought I might need to add a little bit more, and I did do that for the career in tech. I will monitor all year long, and if we need to spend it, we will. If we don't, you do not have to worry about me spending it just because. So, but anyway, with that said, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to sit down, and then again in a few minutes we will adopt the proposed budget. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Darrell.
Okay, thank you.
Timeout is 6:03. We will now move to item 6, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to the consent agenda? Okay. Red Holmes has voiced a motion to accept the agenda, with Bo Exum seconding that. All in favor of that, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. 7-0. We will consent the agenda for the last meeting. Okay, we will now move to item 7, and we are going to move item F to the top, which is discussion only, the RSSP grant. Ms. Chadwick.
Hello. Just one, oh, well, okay. Okay, that's good. So this is a requirement of the RSSP Effective Schools Framework Alignment Grant that we received through T-Class. I went through that grant with y'all back a year ago. I did place this at your seat so we can step through this pretty quickly. Just a reminder for what the RSSP Effective Schools Framework Alignment is. There's two parts. Part one is district-wide recovery and acceleration plan. Acceleration meaning that we're supporting the learning that students lost during COVID. And part two is the delivery through a technical assistance support provider for continuous improvement for the next 2 years. So we did receive this grant, and it is completely funded, as you can see on the back of the first page. It is funded and supported by TDA. We received $318,000 to pay salaries for data fellows, but we were also awarded technical assistance provider for coaching support. So to help do the things that we need to do, we have two companies backing us. One for the academic side, one for the data fellow side. And with us today, I have our academic technical assistance provider, and I will introduce her for Q&A at the end. And so, like I said, I'm going to step through this quickly. The purpose on the next page is to discuss desired changes to K-5 blended small group instruction in math and reading and the data and actions that led to the decisions, the goals and implementation supports, and provide time for you to ask questions. The back of that page, it has the theory of action that has been designed. I don't want to read that to you. It's just a rather long sentence that just is one statement of what it is we're trying to accomplish, making sure that that each student grows. But the HQIM and the RBIS in that statement stand for high quality instructional materials and research-based instructional strategies, which are required to be used throughout this plan. And they are good quality things that we should be doing. Again, this plan is K-5 math and reading only. The RSSP process is listed next. And you can see the theory of action was step 1C, but I'm not going to step through that. It's just something that you can look at later. It's not the real meat of the details. I want to move quickly to those. The back of that page, Tier 1 instruction walkthrough data. As we did instruction walkthroughs, now Tier 1 means just general instruction to every single student in the room. Tier 2 means instruction that's a little more individualized for students who need a slower pace, maybe even a faster pace. So Tier 2 will be more individualized. And then Tier 3 is for those students who just didn't get it either time. And so that should be a much smaller group. Okay, so this was Tier 1 walkthrough. We saw about 70% of our teachers, this is K-5, using small group instruction walkthrough data. We saw 25% using research-based instructional strategies, and we saw 30% was of student ownership with goal setting. So we're doing a lot of things already. None of this is new that we're doing. What it is just support to do it better and to build capacity amongst teachers and our principals so that they can see the things that are happening that need to be happening. So our decision, if you'll look on the next page, is the RSSP stakeholder team supported the decision to implement blended small group instruction for Tier 1 and 2 in K-5 math and reading classrooms supported by principal walkthroughs. And you see we have the team members listed below in that gold stripe. We have principal representation of Angela Compton, teacher, Miranda Hell, interventionist Christina Wings. We have parent Rachel Spencer. The data fellows that are being paid for through the grant are Jody Ingram and Missy Downs, and as assistant superintendent, I am on the committee also. So basically, there's 3 goals that we plan on achieving. The first goal is to establish a campus-based leadership team on all elementary campuses to support principals' efforts to conduct 2 instructional walkthroughs per teacher each month focused on capturing evidence of successful small group instruction. This goal is the only goal that we will be reporting to TEA. Of the 3 goals, they asked us to just pick one that we really detail and we're going to focus on and report to TA. The rest, we're just going to work amongst ourselves. So basically, this one is to help build principals' capacity. We've listed the ways that we plan on doing that in those next statements. We're working with them on supporting their needs as they've requested. The next goal on the next page is for the K-5 at-risk students to make measurable progress in I-ready mathematics between beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year that results in more than 1 year's growth in 1 year. Again, we're focused on at-risk because those are our students who we feel like are falling most behind based on the data that we've seen with these measurable tests that we've given them. So you can see that's one of the things that we're doing, and you can see how we plan on doing it by reading across the capacity, fidelity, student outcome, and execution goals. And our third and final goal, we plan to create a system that aligns with the MTSS model structure of 80% universal, 20% targeted, and 5% intensive instruction by December 2022. Let me describe that for just a minute. Multi-tiered support system is what MTSS stands for, and by multi-tier, that's Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 that I described to you earlier. Tier 1 is all students, Tier 2 is those that are falling behind, and Tier 3 are those that after getting extra support are still falling behind. And what we're hoping to do is keep the structure of 80% all students only need Tier 1 instruction. Then we have a 20% that need targeted and a 5% that need the intensive instruction, and we're setting up those processes for those students. Region 8 will be a support for us for the interventionists all year. The interventionists are the ones who work with the Tier 3 students who are not getting what they need. So we have this grant, we have the support system that we have for 2 years paid for by TEA with these technical assistance providers, so until 23-24. I would like to introduce Tila Watson to come up and tell you a little bit about where she's coming from, and then we'll answer any questions that you have.
I'm honored to stand before you. I want you to know that I have a huge respect for school board members. My husband was on the school board for 6 years in Decatur ISD, and I was an administrator in Decatur ISD as well. I was a middle school and intermediate school principal. And so I spent 5 years there, and then I went to Region 11, which is in Fort Worth. It's the Education Service Center that supports the 77 districts in the Fort Worth area. Most recently, I've gone to work for Engage to Learn, and that's how I became your technical assistance provider. And I will tell you that currently I'm working with 7 districts on this project. What I want to tell you is, and no one's paying me to say this, I love this district already, and what I want you to know is the team that you have in place that are making these recommendations, their whole goal is to take this from a good district to a great district. And the way that we do that is by incrementally chipping away at processes and systems and instructional strategies that need to be done so that students are performing at a much higher level. You have kids that really should be performing much higher than they are, and we want to help get there. And this is the place we're going to start. And so I spent all morning with your 4 elementary principals working on time management. How do we create, they said, we want to be in classrooms more. We want to be supporting our teachers. But we don't have assistant principals. Our days are packed. How do we do that? And so we spent about 3 hours this morning working through ways that they can free up time in their day to get into teachers' classrooms. Teachers want that. They want to be supported. They want principals to come in and see the great things that they're doing, and they want feedback. If they're not hitting the mark, they want to know. We're all very invested in what we do as educators, and so this plan should definitely help you get there. And so I'm super excited to be with you for the next 18 months after this and provide that technical support for completing all of the grant requirements that TEA requires. If you know much about TEA, we've got to love them, don't we? They have lots of paperwork that gets filled out, and I help provide assistance for that. Do you have any questions about what's been presented? presented tonight.
I just have one. I know that teachers are evaluated, twice a year, and the principals have to do all the walkthroughs to get that done, and plus all the paperwork. Are they going to be required to do extra walkthroughs now?
They will be doing some targeted walkthroughs. As a general rule, when you're going in to observe a teacher for their evaluation, you're kind of looking at a whole spectrum of things. They will do a few walkthroughs that are very targeted, looking for small group instruction strategies. I was fortunate enough to get to walk through every campus, every elementary campus, in and out of classrooms with Angela, and it was great to see your teachers in action, and they were amazing. And what we saw was, we saw lots of teachers doing small group, but sometimes they would have small group around them up close, and the small group out here was really a larger group of 15, and they were all kind of doing the same thing. Our goal through this grant and through focused instructional walks is to have them be doing small group instruction, but there's maybe 4 different things going on. Maybe your kids who are really excelling, maybe they're in GT program, maybe they're just high achievers. They might be working on the same content, but on a certain project where the students who are just meeting expectation and doing a pretty good job, they might be working on the content in a different way, and then there might be some challenged learners that might be working in a different way. And so we want to make sure that students have 2 to 4 opportunities to get the content in various ways. And small group instruction is a research-based strategy that has proven that it will help your students all get to where they need to be.
Of course, the time that they lost, a whole year and a half, just to be in the classroom with their teacher teaching them is going to be huge.
It is.
And now this is just K through 5, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I've got a question. The goal that, if I understood right, that you're shooting for with this model is that 80-25 ratio. Do we have any idea of what we're currently at if we were to evaluate that right now?
For our 5%, we're more at 20. We're sending a lot of students out of the classroom for intervention. And so that's one of the things we're trying to basically correct. We're kind of what they call upside down in the model.
The research actually shows that students at that tier 2 level, where they just need a little extra help, they do much better getting that instruction from their classroom teacher. Getting it from the teacher who they're used to, who maybe just needs to offer it in a different way. Maybe they do a whole group teach piece to everybody, and then they realize these 4 or 5 maybe just need a little extra help. Right now, what's happening is they're sending them out to the interventionist. And what research shows is that if they'll keep them, but do some small group with that group, the students gain more academic knowledge that way than being sent to an interventionist.
We also didn't have resources prior to last year. We just added resources to support teachers to do this. So the great thing is programming has come along that assesses what the students need and then provides those differentiated lesson plans for the teachers, so they're not having to make multiple sets of lesson plans. It really caters to the needs of the groups of students that are missing certain skills.
How in the classrooms you visited, I mean, this is going on in other schools and it's been proven to be successful. How's the classroom management with the kids when you have 4 different groups of, say, 5th graders especially, doing 4
Well, let me
different
give you
things?
one better. You've got a teacher right here in this district that is a first-year teacher, alternatively certified, working on certification, used to be in an office staff setting in one of the campuses with kinder or first grade? Second graders. It was flawless. So if the second grade teacher, first-year teacher, can lay out processes and systems so that the kids knew exactly what to do. They broke to go into small group. I was amazed. It was beautiful. We could have filmed it and it could have gone out nationwide as an exemplar for what this should look like. And so Classroom management can always be a challenge. Certainly was sometimes for me as a high school English teacher. But I think laying out those systems and processes, and one of the great things that the district did is we have filmed, I say we, like I have a mouse in my pocket, Jody filmed really great examples on all the campuses that are good exemplars for all teachers to see, so that teachers could see North Lamar ISD teachers working with North Lamar ISD students at various grade levels that were really good at it. And that way it sort of empowers you when you see your own district, teachers that you know and appreciate, and they're doing it. It sort of builds your confidence that you can do it as well. And so they're going to have a series of videos that teachers get to watch.
It's great. Sounds good. Any more questions? All right.
And we did. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
We invite you to reach out anytime you have another question about it. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we will start at the top with 7A, consideration and approval of the 2022-23 NLISD budget with Melissa Darrow.
Yes, I would like to recommend the budget presented for adoption this evening. I think the budget is liberal and it is conservative enough to be healthy, and it's liberal enough for us to have a productive and successful 2022-23 school year.
Do we have any questions or any discussion? Barring none, we have a motion by Bo to accept the budget, and I think I had a second by Jimmy Finley.
Thank you.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0, budget passed. Thank you, Ms. Darrow. Okay, 7B, discussion only, safety report by Chief Bowes.
Thank you, guys. Just let me start off by saying how our thoughts and prayers are still with the folks in Uvalde. It's been a tough time hearing from some of those first responders down there. I placed a copy of this on your desk. That, got a lot of information from the governor's office, as Ms. Stewart has, as everybody has. And and a lot of the stuff from the governor's office, it's still in the works. Let's just put it that way. The governor's office works with TCOL, Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, and he passes things down to them. They put it in place, and then we go to trainings on that. It's going to take quite a while for that to occur. It just is. I got a message late today. They have changed some things, allowing Alert to do even more training for us, to open it up and not just keep us bound to very few places for our training. So, and let me go over what Alert is. Alert is Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training. And about 2.5 years ago, I became an instructor for that. I had to go through some, it was pretty rigorous with some SEALs that were out of Amarillo, and people from all over the nation came to train us. And what it is, just to give you a basic overview, it allows law enforcement, along with what they call fire rescue, and you work in conjunction with each other. If you have a critical incident, law enforcement goes in, secures the scene. They, in quote their words, they stop the killing, and then fire EMS come in and they stop the dying. And that's kind of the premise of it. And it works very well, very effective. So effective that the state is going to put that in place as a training. And we're going to try to do some of that, try to get that together before the first of school, and have that in place so our staff members can get some of that training. So there is and when I say that, they're not going to be going in as firemen and policemen. There's a separate portion for civilian response. So it'll go in and work very well. So sorry I didn't blow that up so much, but we had a safety committee meeting. We're going to have a safety committee meeting coming up pretty quick. We're going to go over the emergency operation plan, some things, just to make sure we're shored up with things that need to be taken care of. We've been meeting with the principals, looking at some different things with them that they might notice that we don't, that need to be addressed, need to be repaired, or put in place. We did get all of our police officers trained a year and a half ago on the active shooter drills. That's mandated by the state way before this ever occurred. That's been in place for 3 years. So we're all trained on that. Armed staff members, they will be also going through the same training law enforcement will be going through. Because I'm an instructor, we can train them to go through that. So they will be trained to do the exact same thing that we do in case they're a critical incident. Key cards, those are at every door entrance at all 6 campuses. The ALICE training and Stop the Bleed, it'll be in person again this year. Thank goodness, that was kind of challenging to do online before. Stop the Bleeds, you've got to use tourniquets and a lot of stuff you have to teach on hands, and that was difficult back during COVID. So we got that done, got that set up, it's ready to go. ALICE training will be too. We recently met with Lamar County SWAT officers, and they I've already sent them the maps to everything out here, everything. They will have access to the AEDs, they'll have access to everything, fire, EMS, SWAT, everybody will. We're working really well together right now. Everything is going very well in that respect. And then we will send our maps from them. They will send that out to DPS, gang wardens, constables, you name it. Everybody will have access to our stuff in case we have people walk in this building, and we're going to have some help. Plenty of it. 134 officers in this county. So I'm very pleased with how that's working out. We just got through with our firearms training. Everything went very well. And then our Raptor system, if those of you who don't know what Raptor is, when you walk into school, you have to hand your driver's license over. They put it in the system. It checks for sex offenders. It checks, and it logs you in to say what business you might have there and where you're going within that certain building. So that's still in place and has been working very well, very effective. So, any questions you guys might have? No, go ahead.
Y'all have a summer school here, right?
We do.
How many kids and campuses does it cover?
We've got high school, middle school, and elementary.
And
3
how many
campuses.
officers you have on it?
Me.
Is that enough?
I would think so, yes.
What if you go on vacation?
Well, no, I don't take vacation during summer school. I don't do that at all, no, sir.
I mean, what if you're out that day or sick, or do we have a backup?
One of my guys would cover, they would come in and cover for me.
So we do have a backup plan for that?
Oh, yes, yes, sir. Yeah, that's no problem. Daddy Mark's usually the first one I call.
Do they get paid extra?
I'm sorry?
Do we pay them extra if they come into work?
We,
I know they're on 10-month contract.
They are, no, sir, we've never had that set up. We've not had that situation, to be honest. But I'm sure it's not a problem. Usually what I'll do is I'll work some things with them and trade where they need off, and I trade it out with them usually. Is the way they usually do it.
Are covered,
Oh, yeah, usually that's what they ask for. They want me to cover some games for them or something like that. But I usually end up with the longest end of that, but that's all right. They help me quite a bit, quite a bit.
Well, I just want to make, that's a lot for you to cover in the summertime.
It is, but that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm dedicated to. We'll get it done. No worries. Yes, sir. Yes, I appreciate it, though. I do. Anybody?
I had one question about
Yes, sir.
the access cards.
Yes, sir.
And those are there for the teachers.
Yes, sir.
Is there ever any discussion about students having access cards to get in or out of buildings on campus so that?
We've not yet, no, sir. Not that I'm aware of. The principals might have, but I don't. They tell me when to turn them on and when to turn them off, and that's where I'm at on that with me, my part. But I can look into it for you.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely. The students, that would be, it's pretty costly too. It is costly because I do order the cards. About, $125, something like that per student. And then all the losses, where they lose them and all that too. But I can look into it definitely. Yes, sir. Ken? Anybody have any questions, other questions for him?
Anything else? Okay, thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Bowles.
much.
Yes. Okay, item 7C, consideration and approval, change in lunch prices for 22-23 school year. Lana Doyle.
Hannah is not here tonight, so I will try to explain this the best way I can, because she explained it to me the other day. The USDA issued guidance that allows schools to offer meals to all students at no cost at this past year. Unfortunately, the income eligibility requirements are starting in 22-23 again. So she had to go in and set lunch prices based on the cost of food, and that for those students that will not qualify for free and reduced lunches. Right now on the web, it just says free. We do have the information, and that's why I know a little bit about it. It's because I put it on the web the other day for her that shows that we're going to have to do applications again this year starting. So the lunch prices is in their y'all's board packet, but it's $3.25 for high school and junior high lunches, $3 for elementary lunches, and then $1.75 for breakfast. And then she's not been given a price yet for the adults. So she just needs approval to add that back on.
Do we have any questions? Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Russell Jackson has moved that we approve this lunch meal price, and Red seconds. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, 7-0, thank you for the meal prices to be approved. Item 7D, consideration and approval, the STEM lab for Parker and Stone. Ms. Chadwick.
So something really exciting happened when we were able to come across a lab in Ferris. We were going to look at some things, and once that we stopped to check this lab out. It was absolutely dynamic and amazing. And there were myself, Ms. Sanders, Mark Russell, Chrissy Coe, and Jennifer Bryant all went on this trip. And when we walked into this STEM lab, we just jaw dropped, literally. Kids were totally engaged, building. The teacher didn't have to do a whole lot. She had done the previous teaching, and she worked with small groups as they needed it. But they all just got after it. I know you have these packets. They're very large packets in your book, but I wanted to make you something small and consumable so that you could get a look. I stole these pictures off the internet from the website for STEM Labs so that you could get a picture. I think the picture's worth 1,000 words, and all these words in this packet don't strike near what we saw. So you can see some of these pictures. And then I wanted to share with you just the basics of what is instructed in these labs from K2, 3.5 on the back of that, and then 6.8. We are proposing a lab at Aaron Parker, which is a pre-K4 campus. So this would cover K-4 for Parker, and then at Stone, which is 6.8, so it would cover the 6.8 curriculum at Stone Middle School. I can't speak highly enough about it. I mean, there were kids, there were like 8 different stations, and students were working in teams of 2 and 3, and each one of those stations had a different type of STEM project that they were working on. So you see where I highlighted under K2, right here on this page, it said the different stations were basic circuitry, digital illustrations and animations, writing and editing code, introduction to computer programming, combining 2D shapes to create 3D designs, build simple machines to help do work in model structures in the world, students performing experiments while collecting data, using sensors, and exploring different sources of renewable energy, including solar and wind power, and that's for K2. Now, I'm amazed, but I can't wait to see it happen because I know our kids deserve something this fantastic. If you see the next pages for grades 3, 5, and 6, 8, it's very similar topics. The topics just become more in depth to be more age appropriate. So there's a digital component, There's a written component, and there's a hands-on component for each one of these labs. So it will incorporate writing skills, and we all know that that's something that we strive to make better every year. But when a student is interested with something hands-on and engaging, there's a tendency to learn more, to actually bring more of the processes together that require learning. When they have to see a set of instructions and understand those instructions, apply those instructions, build something, and then write about what they built. So it's just pretty phenomenal, in my opinion, that we have this opportunity, because it was happenstance that we saw the lab. And it's just like one of those things, we were put in the right place at the right time. We came home, just wish we could do this. And then in conversations that Ms. Sanders had with Mr. Watson, they found a way that they could make this happen for 2 of our campuses. So what we're asking for today is the proposal that that you agree that we go ahead and implement these labs starting, and maybe the only place we ever put them, but it will be very exciting there, and maybe being able to build STEM momentum across the district. There's CTE that has some STEM, but to be able to think that we can take kindergartners through 8th graders and provide these experiences for them is pretty exciting. I put one final page in here that did not come from the website from the STEM lab, but just to show the benefits of STEM education, fosters ingenuity and creativity, builds resilience because it's a trial and error-based process, encourages experimentation, which a lot of academic subjects don't encourage much experimentation. It's more like read this, learn it, take a test, and pass. But experimentation encourages failure, and we know failure is how you grow. Encourages teamwork, which is critical. Encourages knowledge application, technology use, teaches problem solving, and encourages adaptation. And all of these are lifelong skill sets that I would say each one of us needs to have at the top of our game to be successful in any career field that we choose. So at this time, if you have any questions, if you've had a chance, hopefully, to review the Smart Lab proposals on the 2 campuses.
Does STEM stand for Science, Technology, Education Module?
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Okay.
I read one article, I'm sorry, I should have said this earlier. I read one article that said that there was a middle school that implemented this, and what their biggest concern was students who had kind of turned off of education. And middle school is famous for that. If you taught in middle school, you know, kids at some point, they just kind of shut down. I was principal of middle school campus, and they either grab onto education kind of in that phase, or they kind of drop it. This is one of those things that supports all kids, because some kids who drop education, it's because they're not the book and paper kind of kid. They really want to work with their hands. And then the book and paper kind of kids sometimes need extension of just the reading. They want to actually do it, physically do the work. So it just opens up a whole world for students who might not otherwise engage. And that was just a brief article I wrote about a middle school campus.
My question is, you just have for Parker and for Stone, what about the other campuses?
Well, we've got 2 campuses that will be merging soon with the brand new campus, and once the building's altered to put this lab in, there's an altering piece to the room that it goes in for the electrical and all the things that go on there. So I don't think that would need to be determined for those 2 campuses if and until there's a new campus built. And the other one, pre-K 1, is there's a lot of STEM activities that can be done without building an entire lab, because they can do just some hands-on applications that are more age appropriate. And the high school has CTE courses that engage a lot of STEM. So that's not to say maybe some of these couldn't be brought eventually, but we see that this being a really good fit for the 2 campuses that have the least opportunity for STEM, but maybe the most to gain from it. So, great question, but that's the way we see it.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the STEM lab at Parker and Stone, made by Bo Exum, and I have a second by Lauren Woodard. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, thank you very much. 7-0, we will have our STEM labs soon. Thank you, Angela. 7E, consideration and approval, ELAR, ESL teacher, one-time stipend. Ms. Chadwick.
So this stipend, this was in your packet, trying to explain that these are extra duties, that if you're teaching ESL students in the English language arts reading courses, you have to do this extra work. We initially had a stipend a couple of years ago, but it was for every student that had every teacher that had ESL certification. And what was happening is we were working our way out of funding, because every time more teachers took the test, we were guaranteeing them the stipend, and we got to where we couldn't afford it anymore. It was an encouragement for teachers to get the stipend. So we took that stipend out. And that money went into supplies and needs for teachers of those classrooms. Now, this is money that is allocated only for ESL. We don't have access to that money to go anywhere else but ESL, because it's in the bilingual funding allotment, okay? So that's the only place it can be spent. Well, last year, the supply money didn't get spent until the end of the year. So the teachers got all of the materials and used it this year and never needed anything. Although if they were asked, do you need something, do you need any support? No, we've got everything we need. So by the end of the year, we found ourselves with the supply money again. So to make sure we spent it where it needed to be spent, we're asking to give this money to the teachers of the ESL students who had to do these extra duties for those students for testing purposes. And that testing is required testing like STAR, but it's called TELPAS, which is for our ESL kids. So we just ask your approval to pay these teachers the $750 extra duty one-time payment, because the money's in the budget and it's a required 100% spend for this purpose.
Was this extra time that they had to spend, or was this part of their job?
It did require extra time, and there are things, all these things that are listed are things that if you're a regular ELAR reading teacher, you don't have to do unless you have ESL students.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Red to approve this stipend, this one-time stipend, and Lauren will second that motion. All in favor? Raise your right hand. All right, we will approve this one-time stipend for ESL teacher this year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, 7-0, thank you. All right, discussion only, the RSSP grant, Angela.
That's what we've already done. That's
All
what
right, we've already done that with her, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay, G, consideration and approval mentor teacher one-time stipend, Ms. Chadwick.
So we wrote a grant a few years ago to get funding to support new teachers, 0 or 1 year teachers, and in the form of stipends for our mentors that were taking care of those new teachers. Prior to writing this grant, those mentor teachers received a $200 stipend from the school, so y'all funded it. Once we got the grant, the school district did not fund it anymore, the grant funded it. So we were able to pay $1,000 per beginning teacher to each mentor. Some mentors had 2 teachers, like some would have 1 year, and then they would keep that for the second year but pick up another one, so they would end up with 2. So however many new teachers you had that qualified, you got the $1,000. So instead of $200 locally funded, they're getting a $1,000 stipend funded. But in our budget that we set up, we had to do some required TEA trainings. And so we set aside money for those trainings, and we also set aside money to hire subs to give those teachers time to meet with their mentors, and their mentors time to meet with their teachers without having to use their own personal time. So that was a requirement of the grant also. So we set that money aside. Well, there were a lot of things that teachers did to keep from having to use subs. And so we actually over budgeted for subs, and then the training, we actually over budgeted for the training. So we ended up with extra money. So if you see our projected percentages, we had 85% projected for stipends. And after we did not use all the training money, and we did not use all the sub money, we wanted to take the leftover money and add another stipend to the mentor teachers. So we just want to give all the mentor teachers another $200 for every beginning teacher. So instead of $1,000, they'll get $1,200 for beginning teachers. That's paid throughout the year. It's paid on their monthly check, but this will just be a $200 to finish up what we didn't spend already.
Do I have any questions on that?
Dr. Chadwick, appreciate all you do, but this is June the 13th. Did we get everything submitted by June the 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did give y'all that compliance page. I wanted to show y'all, I was looking at the budget. I wanted to show y'all on the compliance, the percentages. If you see on the back side of that, yeah, this has already been submitted.
Okay.
The mentor teacher stipends ended up being 96.6% of the money spent went back to the mentor teachers. And we're really proud of that because we worked hard to make sure they got all the compliance done, but also get as much money as we could possibly give them.
Thank you, Red. Do I have any more questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Jimmy Finley has made the motion to give this one-time stipend to mentor teachers. I have a second by Russell, by Russell Jackson. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we have a 7-0 approval for mentor teachers one-time stipend. Thank you. Consideration and approval, Hayter Engineering Survey Proposal for Everett. Ms. Stewart.
Okay, in your packet, there is a topographic surveying information from Hayter Engineering. What Park Hill is asking is for Hayter Engineering to be able to come in and do the surveying on Cecil Everett on their gymnasium floor and also on the drainage outside of Frankstone Middle School, which is in the back area near the courtyard. Before Hayter Engineering can come and do this topographic surveying, Park Hill wanted to make sure that we received approval from the board.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Bo Exum has moved that we accept the Hayter Engineering Survey Proposal. I have a second by Russell Jackson. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0 that this proposal be approved. Consideration and approval. Item I, Region 8 contract by Ms. Stewart.
Okay, in your board book, you can see the Region 8 Education Service Center contract. This is a service agreement that we bring before the board each year. For those of you that were here last year, you can see that the pricing is quite a bit different, being cheaper this year. The reason that the pricing is different, there were 4 areas which in the past Region 8 has offered services for. The 4 programs that are not listed are Eduphoria, Plan for Learning, Swank Movie Licensing, and Text Guide. So Dr. Chadwick is going out to receive pricing for those 4 because they are areas in which we will utilize, except Region 8 is not offering that service for this year. So that's the difference in pricing there, which it is quite a bit different. So we'll need permission from you all to finalize this service agreement so that I can get this back to Region 8. And this has already been built into the budget for next year.
Okay, I have a motion by Bo to accept this Region 8 contract.
Second.
And a second by Red Holmes. All those in favor? Raise your right hand. All right, we have a 7-0 approval for the Region 8 contract to be accepted. Thank you. Okay, 7J, consideration and approval, proposals for bids. Mr. Landis.
Okay, I'm here to seek approval for contracted services for the school year 2022 and 2023. The first is janitorial service, which we chose to go with Home Depot. There was 4 bids: Cheney Paper, UniFirst, and Baxter. Of course, Home Depot was a big operation, and they're way cheaper than these other bids, and we've used them before. The second is electrical, which we chose to go with Max Electric. They're the only ones that bid on it. He's had the contract before. The third one is plumbing. This Exxon Plumbing. Nobody bid it on plumbing. We chose to go back with Bo and HVAC Paris there because nobody bid on it either. And they've been doing us a good job for the last 2 years. Bo's been with us for how long? 15 at least. 15. Home Depot's been with us for 10 years and they went away for 2. So, any questions? And for the new board members, anything over $50,000 a year, we have to go out for bid on contracted services for the year.
Does anybody have any comment or question?
What keeps someone from, why do we have so few bids? Is there a reason?
Well, a lot of them don't have the proper, you got to be tip spenders in some occasions, and then you have to have the proper insurance and stuff to work at the school, workman's comp, that kind of thing. It kind of keeps a lot of them from being able to bid on it.
Gotcha.
I mean, you got to have proper paperwork, insurance and stuff, workman's comp to be able to work in the school district. And background checks. I mean, Bo can tell you, the background checks, that's important to the school district. So that cuts a lot of bids out.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay. Do I have a motion? Bo will, what do you call it? Abstain from voting. We have Russell Jackson made a motion to approve these proposals for bids. I have a second by Jimmy Finley. All those in favor of accepting these bids, raise your right hand. We have 6-0 with Bo abstaining. All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Landis. Okay, we will move to item 8, Superintendent's Report, the 2022-23 board meeting dates.
Okay, in your board book, you will see the board meeting schedule for August through May. We will not determine the date for the June and July meeting until the month of May. I would ask that you put an asterisk beside the August 8th meeting. I'm going to ask that everybody be present at 5 p.m. the night of August 8th. Harrison Walker Harper would like for us to have our groundbreaking ceremony for our new elementary school that's being built on that night. So please put an asterisk beside that, and we'd love to have you here at 5 p.m. to join us for the groundbreaking.
Now, we're not going to be meeting in all these different places, are we?
No, that's the program or the school that's out beside it will be the person that comes to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, and we will be here. All right, very good. Okay. Any questions on the meeting dates? All right. Do we need to approve that? All right. Okay. So these will be our meeting dates, and 5 o'clock p.m. August 8th. That'll be an exciting groundbreaking. All right. We will now move into anything else? With this? All right. We will now move into executive session. The board will conduct a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, subchapters D, E. We will close this regular session. It is 6:53 and move to closed session.